Welcome to SoulWhat, a SoulTopia production. Every Tuesday, Michelle and Roger Welch take a deep dive into the intriguing and proactive world of metaphysics, a world beyond our human perception. They'll talk to empaths, readers, and other guests from all walks of life to find out what's hiding under the surface, uncover the mysteries of our modern world, and reveal the answers you need to live a happy, healthier life. Now, here's your hosts, Michelle and Roger Welch.
Hello, you guys and everybody. How are y'all doing today? Y'all is the easy way to say.
Hey, y'all.
Hi, y'all.
Hi,
How
y'all.
are you
Howdy, y'all.
doing today? What is today? Tuesday. So I am doing great. Sound off. How are you doing?
Good.
And I'm really not doing great. So I'm going to be honest, like Matt was earlier when I asked him. Maybe that's just always your default answer. But
I'm all right.
He didn't say all right.
I'm all right.
I'm doing okay. How are you doing, Roger?
Me good. I'm all right.
About you, Matt Stoker, our producer.
I am also doing okay. My allergies have been bothering me a little bit today.
Yeah, see, that's an honest answer.
I hurt my back over the weekend, so I was laid up all day yesterday.
What'd you do?
So I really don't know. I mean, honestly, the best, and this is the dumbest thing possible, but I took a nap on the couch with my dog Serena, and I think she was just laying in a weird way that made me lay in a weird way. And then when I woke up, I couldn't move. My lower back was just like all
So she was laying like this, and you're like this, and you wanted to move, and you're like, no, I'm not going to interrupt her sleep. I'm
Yeah,
just gonna
kind
stay
of.
right here.
Yeah,
Kind
because
of, yeah.
Serena, did you say Serena?
Serena.
Serena, the what?
She's a border collie Aussie mix, little black and white.
Serena is the boss, unless
She is.
somebody else is the boss, but you are certainly not the
I am
boss.
not. I am not the boss. So yeah, that was on Sunday. Sunday night, I could barely move. Monday morning, it wasn't much better. So I spent all day yesterday lying on the couch with Serena again, but she was in a better position this time.
She did like a body adjustment on you. She switched it around. You got
She
therapy.
went from injuring me to trying to, I guess, make me feel better.
Yeah.
I think more or less worked. I'm okay. I'm a little sore right now, but otherwise.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Gypsy used to do that. She'd lay like right between my knees and wouldn't move, and she'd be
Yeah.
laying on top of the covers though.
Gypsies are English
It's like
bulldogs, you guys.
65 pounds. You know, you can't move because she won't move. And
Yeah.
like, you're done.
Roger says she's healthy, and I'm like, she's overweight.
She's actually about 55 pounds.
I think we should have named her Madge. It just fits. But I've said that before. But she's a sweetie.
It's
But
amazing. They can. It's like they can add weight whenever they don't want to. Like they just suddenly get heavier and heavier.
Oh, they go.
Like a little black hole or
Yeah, I
something.
mean, you're not going to be mean.
Dense
no,
mass.
sir. Forget
Yeah.
it. Yeah. That's some magic they're working on you. And speaking of magic, we are talking about love spells. And love spells, do they work? What is the story with love spells? Roger, you want to kick us off?
With love spells, everybody come. I mean, that is actually one of the top 3 things people come into the store asking about, or even calls. We get a lot of calls too, but top 3 things people want to know about is love spells. I mean, it's 1 in 3 people. That's what they're wanting to know. You know,
That's a true kind of about readings that people that's in the top 3 categories for readings. So people
yeah,
care
and
about being in love, or at least not being lonely. I think some of the times.
a lot of times it's that they're looking for love, they're missing somebody, or they're infatuated with somebody, and they're trying to get that person to them. Even when at Halloween we did the Granada Theater.
Yeah.
I don't know how many. I was like, well, it was kind of a love reading, or I would ask what type of, and it was the same thing. Well, I'm like, there's plenty of single people here. Just go talk to somebody.
That's your.
I
that's
really
your
wanted to
answer.
say that a couple of times.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's just see what he says. But
Yeah.
it's like, off your ass, go talk to someone.
Aw.
It worked on you, didn't
Some
it?
people are shy.
Worked on you.
That you got off your ass? I certainly didn't. I just sat at the bar. I had a stool, the bar stool, the high tops at Cougarville in Plano. That's where I was. But
Is that the name of the place?
No.
Oh, okay.
it was
Sambuca.
not officially, but in the
I
Urban
Unofficially.
Dictionary.
I have been to Sambuca. I understand.
Matt was making
But
notes.
I was
Matt was making
were-
Yeah, I
notes
was like, where do I need to go?
He's
What is
like,
we were on the
Cougarville?
patio
Okay.
at So we're on the
Patio,
patio.
Sambuca, Plano. Got it.
Cougarville. No, but long story short, I'd been out with two friends celebrating one of them's birthday, and we went over to the patio after we'd eaten across the street at a pretty well-known place at the time. Now it's kind of moved to the other side of the street, I think. The Action over by the Star Center where the Cowboys practice, right?
No.
That's up the road. I always
That's
get it
in
wrong.
Frisco.
I always get it wrong.
Yeah.
But the other
West
place we'll
Plano.
talk about is
West Legacy.
Legacy West.
Legacy West, yeah.
So Roger, we told this before, I think. Oh, this
Probably.
guy's it's a love spell thing though, right?
It
Because Roger was sitting I was sitting at high top, he was sitting low top, he was by himself, and my back was to him, and the tennis coach from the club I was a member of at the time came up and started bugging us. And the two people at the table were interacting. I just wouldn't even talk to him. It's just like, okay, you're a nuisance. Get away from me. You're just bugging me. And then he spilled his water. It was not his water.
It was everybody else's.
I had water. He had not water, trust me, but he spilled all of our water. And the two other friends, you don't ever leave at Cougarville, you do not ever leave your friend at the table by herself. Well, they did. So you got to come in fours, or twos. The two of them went to the restroom, leaving me to get hit upon by Roger with this line. I like your shoes.
It worked.
What were these shoes? Were they boots or were they?
They were Jimmy Choo shoes.
I see.
Gold
And it
Jimmy Choo.
concerned me a little at the time that he might need to be hitting on not me, because maybe I was not who he might be attracted to. So I kind of thought maybe I was safe. And I know that's a unfair stereotype. But let's be honest. So although Tyler, now he's Mr. Football, drinking beer and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, I thought maybe Roger was gay at the time, and I'm not making fun of that because y'all know I wouldn't. Seriously. But I thought you were, right?
Seriously, but she is.
Does that offend you? Because I've told it a million times.
No.
Would not, because Roger wouldn't care. I mean, he was.
Mm-hmm.
But he knew my shoes. My Jimmy Choo shoes. That's how we met.
Hey, if you're going to fight in the game, you got to know the opposite strategy.
You got to know the playbook.
That's right.
Yeah.
You knew that was
Yeah.
well,
know the
Those are the
playbook.
shoes to look for.
Got to know the rules of the game and know how to
and then he's
twist
like,
the
"Wait, it
rules.
looks like you need to move. Like your friends aren't coming back, so you want to sit up here and talk or something." And I was like, "Sure, I'm safe. There's no reason. No, that can't."
So that was a love spell of a sort.
I said, I can't hear you. Can I come up there and sit with you?
No, we moved to your table.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the story.
So do you, going back to what people ask for, do you feel like more people are asking for...
He didn't like my story.
No, not that. I thought you would have wrapped up.
I'm kidding. Go on.
Do you feel like more people are asking for just like trying to manifest love in general, or are they focused on a specific person that they're trying to cast a spell on, for lack of a better word?
I think people are just trying to find somebody. And now we do get people that have...
This is not like a love potion situation where they're
No,
trying to dose somebody.
And we do have some of those come through also, where they have like this person in mind they want to, kind of attract in, or coworker that they're attracted to. They're wanting to kind of,
Right.
it is still same rules, guys. Coworker, it's a little tricky, but just talk to them maybe.
Okay, we're
Quit
for
first.
Advice time. Okay.
Find another job first. That's my
exactly. Yeah. But it's the thing is that it's we still get, there's still quite a few people that actually have a person in mind that they were trying to bring to them a little, in a romantic
Many times
situation.
it's bring that in that
Or an
situation,
ex.
it's bring them back.
Yeah.
It's not like
an ex.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it's not, and we can talk about that now, but I think it might be better if and make sure we get to it, because I know you're not supposed to do this really, because people get irritated. But come back to it, because that falls under, we're talking tonight about when they work, when they don't. Mm-hmm. So let's cover a little hows, but that kind of falls under, is it ethical when it is someone that you're signaling out to do that type of spell on. So throughout our show, you might want to think about some of the things we talk about and when you might think it's ethical to do that and when it's not. And right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And if you have any questions or opinions, leave them in the chat.
We would love to hear your
Definitely so.
opinions and take your questions if you have any. So let's start off with kind of briefly, because we can do this in classes. This is just kind of a teaser for you and for everyone listening. And we do have classes. Roger has one coming up. We'll find out when. It's a Yule log. Y'all remember when he did the Yule log on live on the air and how he made that in like 10 minutes while he's talking? It was amazing, Roger. And it smells so good. So he's having that class, you guys. That can only be, you got to come to it, I believe. And it is very limited. So you're going to sign up now.
I think it's already like half full or so.
It's a
or maybe
spell
more than
work
half full.
class, but it's a Yule log, okay? So
We'll talk about what real Yule logs are, and we're going to actually make one you get to take home.
So, with that said, how would we do? And I know there are different kinds. So maybe first, quickly, we can go over a couple of the kinds, and then say how, in general, how we would go about.
Okay.
Maybe the other way. How, in general, would we go about a love spell?
I think you probably your best bet would be identifying what your outcome, what you're looking to bring to yourself.
Okay.
Okay, I mean, because if you just one of the things that we were talking about, if you guys think about it, is we see kind of the tragic love spells done on TV and movies and things like that. There's several. I'm sure you guys watching or listening can actually throw a couple out there. But even in like I think it was like last season or two of Sabrina, she did a love spell for her friend's brother to bring him back to life. Kind of a love spell, right? Because it was, friend for more than just romantic love, but it backfired on her because what came back wasn't actually the person.
Right, like that's also an old ghost story, I guess, where people are wishing for their husband who had passed away back, or a son or something like that, and they come back as a zombie or something like that.
They're different.
A little bit of a monkey's paw situation, right?
Exactly. Yeah, so
Change in some way.
So you do have things like that. So it's very important that you actually set what your thoughts are, what your total outcome is. Is it just you're looking for somebody? How you see that whole situation going?
Right. So the first step would be know what you're wanting to do. Be very clear on it, and then I would say set that intention. But there's more to spells than intention.
Definitely.
Some people will say it's all about intention, but we're adding correspondences in, and we're adding tools and timing, and
Ritual.
that's why it makes more of a spell than just your intention, because you're putting action behind that.
Correct.
And that action can be in a lot of like candles and crystals and herbs and more. Okay, so then you've got that intention set. And I think it's what you were also getting to on that is be very clear in that intention, right?
Because you could actually get into a very dangerous situation too if you think about it. I mean, let's say you knew the person that you're trying to, bring around to you. Well, you want that person to be infatuated with you, right? That's the word you use. Well, what's extreme infatuation? Stalker.
Right.
Yeah. Then all of a sudden you got a stalker on your hands, that won't leave you alone. It's like sitting outside your window all night long watching you. And then you go out with your friends and they're like following you and mad because you're not answering the phone. And then the extreme stalker gets real extreme.
What would be an example where one would work? What types? And then we can talk a little bit about how to do this. Tell a couple types that.
So I think you're.
Wait a second. I don't mean work, because we could get that type to work, I believe. So when I say do they work, I do believe spells can work. I believe just strong energy can work. But how would we? What are some kinds that would be reasonable for some people to do?
Well, I believe what you would probably want to start with is setting down and really making a list and thinking it about. I want my relationship to look like this, okay, and be just really clear with how you want it to be. I want somebody loving and caring, but not over dominant type. You know what I'm saying?
Would you say, Roger, that it's best to start with like self love?
Oh, yeah. Always the RuPaul rule there.
Do you think that people who are really in the situation,
Yep.
a lot of the people who are in a situation that might be, and I'm not judging here, but that might be the type that would do a specific name or something that, and we are not deciding yet. I'm not going to decide yet for you what's moral and what's not. We'll talk about that in a few, but do you think those are the kind of people that wouldn't listen to the advice that let's work on the self-love first? I mean, in your experience.
You know, really, yes, because sometimes people can't understand that there's something with themselves they need to work on before they're trying to do something new, bring somebody fresh and new into their life. Okay.
Yeah, and I might put that. I agree with that to a certain extent. I think it's not that they can't bring them into their life, because I mean, look at the divorce rate. So people have affairs all the time, and they still have that old energy with them. So I think you can, just from an evidentiary standpoint, it seems to me that you could bring in somebody else. Is it the best way to do it? That's up to you. But I think it's more that maybe you are not being. It's not that it's not that you have to blame yourself that you're not ready. It's more that it would be a great time to take advantage of doing that work for yourself, of self-love.
Yeah,
Right.
it is. And if you're
And
really
you might change the fact that you want to have to put a spell on somebody, because that is, messing with their free will.
right, and if you really think about it, is if you really are comfortable with your own self, okay, you're good with yourself, you can be good with other people too.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're comfortable with yourself, it's easier to kind of let people in, let people get closer, and you're not kind of, if you're second guessing yourself at sometimes, it makes it easier to start second guessing other people coming into you.
I would
Or
agree with that.
you feel like maybe sometimes they're a little more critical, and then you start getting that standoffish feel with people.
Yeah.
Because you're maybe your feelings, maybe something was said or something happened and you took it the wrong way just because of that.
So if we
It's always
started with
possible.
self-love, we actually got from this note sitting here tonight. I think it's cute, so I'm going to read it. Roger and Michelle, this is what the girls, because today we had all girls, and they call themselves the girls. This is not my rating. This is what the girls found for you. And
It's a team effort here.
It was.
Because
they were
I-
sitting out there for about an hour going through and say, "Oh, I like this. I like this. I like this. I like this."
because I polled everyone working today, and just happened to be a lot of the girls, and so they all said that. I said, first of all, do you believe? And they work at SoulTopia, so they're going to believe a lot. But do you believe spells work? And I said love spells. And a few of them answered no. And then when they went on to explain, it's like, no, they believe they work, but maybe they work too well and in a different way than what you intended. So that's what they meant by that. But most of them all said that they would recommend beginning with a love spell.
Yeah.
Excuse me, self-love spell.
Self-love.
So could you tell us a few pointers if you needed to do a self-love spell, or do you have one of those to share with us? I know I'm putting you on the spot, but
Wow. No, you know what? And actually,
And I
you
do.
didn't tell me you were doing that, but that's okay. Because one of the things I would do, because I had pulled like this crystals. I think an easy way would be to do a spell, maybe even around crystals and candles is always a nice one to do, and maybe create a crystal grid of self-love. This is actually a rose quartz. Obviously, rose quartz, people always associate it with love, right? But what it really is about self-love. So you could get like something like,
I'm looking at the shape of it.
I know you were. That's the whole reason I got this one.
We do.
You
have-
like that, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I got, something like this crystal would be a great one to create a self-love grid. Maybe get like a pink, not this one, but maybe like a pink candle, maybe even a white candle. I
Right.
think one of the white or pink candles would be great to put in with your crystals. You can even, if you don't want to go like a larger, rose quartz, by all means, get a couple of, regular tumbled rose quartz, some maybe aventurine quartz, things like that, to create and write out. once again, writing what you're hoping to accomplish, even if it is this self-love, kind of your own balance of life. Maybe write a kind of a spell down, basically how you would see it working for yourself.
How
And
would
put that
you
in.
okay, this we may have to do part 2 of this, but or come to Roger's spell classes. It would be hard if I didn't know anything for me to just up and write a spell. So could we maybe give them a little recipe to start with? I mean, is that what you did when you said these crystals, these herbs?
Right. That's what I would just start with. I would, as far as I would look at the crystals first. And like I said, rose quartz is a great one because that's a great self-love crystal, right? You can always throw in like clear quartz for amping it up even for yourself, right? If you wanted to throw some herbs in, obviously rose is always good. Rose, that's really a good one. Things like that. I probably wouldn't go to something like cinnamon yet if you were working on like a self-love, or even catnip. I
Why?
probably would not go to those.
Why?
Because those are more like passion love. If you
Well,
think
we
about
want
it.
passion.
But are you working on passion for yourself or usually when people talk
We're
about
talking about self-love.
passion,
Yeah, well,
is
yeah.
bringing it in.
That's
right?
kind of being
So,
narcissistic and
yeah,
like
well,
kinda
you
creepy.
can do that, I guess.
Yeah.
But there's several things, different herbs that you could use. Actually, I just ran to the back and grabbed a few guys, but like even this is actually angelica root. Okay. But this is great for spells against you, but it gives you joyful look on life.
And we write those labels just so you know.
So joyful look on life with this, and it's also assist in protection and healing.
Okay.
So if you think about it, angelica root with maybe some rose buds or even rose hips would be a really good herb. You can just sprinkle those into like your crystal grid, and work with that. I think it's at that point. If and you and I had this conversation today about intention settings, right? But it's really, I think if you have your grid set up, you have actually write it out on a piece of paper. This is how my love life, how I love myself, basically. Okay. What I love about myself. I think if you take time to write down all the things you love about yourself, think about that. You write it down. I love these 10 things about myself. And every day you sit down for 5 minutes, lit that candle, looked at those crystals and reread those 10 things you love about yourself. How many days does it take before it sticks in your head?
Right.
Well, then double that time.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I like that.
if you keep that going and you're taking the time and like we were talking about, you're setting that intention, but you're setting the intention of this is what I want the outcome to be. But then you're actually putting the work and the action into it by reinstating it into your head every day, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, whatever you can take and spare. Everybody can spare 5 minutes and just sit down and talk about it and to yourself. Talk to yourself about it and what you love about yourself.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, and I feel like, I think, I know we spent a lot of time on the self-love part, but to me, just from the outside looking at it, I feel like that's the most important part.
I think so too.
Just from a general, like nobody wants to be around somebody who's miserable, right? You could maybe do a love spell and meet somebody, but like who's to say that's going to work out because you haven't done what you needed to do to feel better about yourself. And I even think about my own self. I was thinking, Thanksgiving, holidays, whatever. You think back to a year ago. I was in a much worse mood back then than I am now. And I feel like I'm a much more pleasant person to be around. Maybe not necessarily when I'm up here, but everywhere else.
I think you're
that's because of Michelle, guys.
Well, I don't mean. I
drive him nuts.
I try to be professional up here, I guess is what I'm trying to say,
Yeah.
and try to not bring that here versus how I know I acted around like some of my closer friends and things like that that I saw in social. So I'm sure I was a miserable person to be around. So I think if there's one thing that you take away from today, it's that you got to do the work on yourself first before you can even think about trying to bring somebody else in.
And when do you guys think that you might be ready? I mean, because we can do self work our whole life, right? So when do you feel like you might? I almost think when you get to the point where I'm not desperate to have someone else in my life, I can be okay. I might still want someone, a companion in life, but I might be okay. I know I'm going to be okay if I don't immediately jump back into or get into a situation.
Yeah. And I think like for me, that's a lot of what that was. It was like desperately not wanting to not be in a relationship, but then now I'm like, I don't care. It's not that I don't care, but it's like, I'm fine now, you know,
Right.
I'm fine. So
Or I know I will be fine too.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's easier to do that when you're in a better place.
yeah.
And a lot of times when you jump right back in, we know this, and that's why the spells can backfire on you, I think, is just that desperation. I think desperation energy can make for some things backfiring on you.
Yeah.
All right, so we really quickly, and just to let y'all
So-
know, because we have most of these books
Yeah.
in stock, and of course, we're going to go through a couple of love stories.
So
We're not
I,
gonna,
actually, you handed me this one here.
Okay, go for it,
It's the Book of Flower Spells. I'm not going to read this, okay? But it's by Charlene Darcy. It's called the Orchid Daily Self-Love Spell. All right, and it's a self-love spell that you do daily. Timing is all moon phases every day morning. And it uses an orchid. But what I glanced at this, read it real quick. My takeaway on this spell is that you perform this spell in front of the mirror. Okay, it actually goes right back to what I was just saying, because you're using orchids, which are very beautiful flowers anyway, and you're doing it in front of the mirror. Now you're associating beauty with yourself, because when you're doing the spell, you're actually looking at the mirror at yourself.
cool.
Okay, and it's reflecting back at you.
Yeah.
And it's kind of that same thing of telling yourself all the things you love about yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. And some other good books that we have here that the girl said. They highlighted Matt Orwin's book, of course, bestseller everywhere, Psychic Witch, and they marked a spot in his the bestseller, his brand new book also, where he gives you practices. So this is the workbook. He was on our show to talk about this book, is Mastering Magic, and by Matt Orwin. And then even these little books, I'll take the little note off. The Gift of Spells by Lucy Cavendish. You know, when you just don't want to read a whole lot, but get a quick little...
Actually, these little
spell.
books like that are really good because, I mean, they're quick reads. They have a lot of good info, real quick info in it. They're
Yeah.
perfect books.
Right. So there's a lot of love spells and even in this Sex Witch. And that is by Sophie St. Thomas. And of course, Scott Cunningham, anything you want to get. And we
A
have the
bracelet?
bracelet.
a
Everybody needs
bracelet
one. We
looks
sold
pretty.
out once or twice. Don't give up on us. That
Yeah.
if it says out of
We
stock,
keep selling out about every day or
we-
two.
They are selling out every time we make them. Scott Cunningham's book, Book of Shadows, The Path of an American Traditionalist, Scott Cunningham also. So you know there are a lot of books. Okay, so let's move on,
But
maybe.
you
I'm sorry.
careful, you're bumping the mic there.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I'm really professional here. But I'll start reading. I read a
That's the
I
crackling
read-
noise that you
I
just
read a
heard.
whole book today on every single show. It's me moving around, or the mic. So professional. I read a book. Y'all know I read a lot. So today I'm not going to say which book it was, but there was a reason I needed to read it. And I read through it while talking to the girls in Beeland. And how long did it take me to read that book?
About 30 minutes. I thought you were shooting a video, and I was like, what are you doing? Oh, I just read this book. I'm like, what? It's a whole freaking book.
And I was talking to them at the same time. I'm a nerd. Okay, so what other kinds of types of love can we talk about? So friendship.
Friendship, yeah.
So pink.
Family.
And
Oh, your friendship
pinks.
love? Yeah,
Pinks.
yeah. I would say pink, even whites. With that, definitely you could do some pink candle work with that. Would be really nice. Probably with that you could use. Oh gosh, you know what? It kind of jumped at me. Might be like the blue quartz.
Very
know,
soothing. We've
kind
got
of
some pretty
soothing
brand new
with
ones
that.
in.
Yeah, something like that with some rose quartz in there with that too,
Okay.
rotating around.
And then, and for me, what jumped to me is relationships. On relationships, there's also love between families, family relationships, and I do get a lot of questions about that. And they seem to start around Thanksgiving, Matt. You asked that question. Are they all the same? You know, what exactly, are they about passion or love? I get a lot of family love, family upset situations where people are upset in families.
That's because having to spend time with them on the holidays.
Well, there's some truth to that, actually. So, but those type of spells, and then what else can you think of? Others
Well, I mean,
types of spells. And I'm saying that just because there's disputes. I'm going to read out of this book. We carry this right now, the Book of Herb Spells by Sherilyn Darcy. Sorry, release anger. To release your own anger. That's a part of the next step of after soul. I mean, working on yourself is releasing that anger. Was a big one for me. Attraction spell, brings somebody closer or get closer. Lover spell, fidelity spell. Interesting. Not saying you're going to agree with all these. Relationship ending spread. That's when you want it to be peaceful. Okay, maybe one's wanting to end it, the other's not, or maybe you're both, and you just want it to go peaceful. Communication, obstacle remover for you to move on. Okay, that's good. All right.
well,
What?
you get a little piece of hair, you can always do a lot of things with spells.
Well, that's very true. What? Why don't you explain that?
Well, you could easily, use a lover intentions hair, if you could get it, into like a candle spell or even like a Gris Mojo bag.
Okay.
You could do something with that. That falls a little bit more into the hoodoo side of things.
And that's more directed at a specific person.
Specific person, yeah.
So, I mean, that's part of what we were going to, I don't know if it's worth bringing up now, but
Yeah,
like
let's
that's
go for it.
part of what I think comes up with this stuff is, I don't know if it's as dramatic as like removing someone's will, but you are trying to change someone's mind. And is that okay to do?
So, right. Well, I know what I think. What do you say?
Well, I want you to give your opinion.
No, I don't think I think it's not. I mean, the one thing is that I've had people come in. They're like, "I need a spell because I need Joe to come back to me." First of all, I'm not doing the spell for Joe, but you're going to do it, and I'll show you how to do. But it's not going to work because your intentions are not correct.
So-
What you need to do is a spell that removes the obstacles between you and Joe. You remove those obstacles, remove that kind of the anger side of things, soften the feel between you two to allow the communication to start back. Now, I did some candles I've had this happen a couple of times where I did some candles and things for people, and this is what you need to do. And they decided not to do that. They did something else, and it totally didn't work.
Well, you asked me the question, and the question was what, Matt?
Is it okay?
Is it okay to do something that will mess with someone else's free will, like
Yes.
get this person to fall in love
Yeah.
with me?
Yeah.
For me, and that's when you have to check your own moral compass, right? Where we all have different moral compasses. So it's up to you, I think. Individuals. For me, I just wouldn't waste my time. But let me put myself in a situation when I was not as healthy as I am with that as I am now, and that would be when I was in law school, I believe, and when the highest point of my life. And so when I was in that situation, I would have told you you totally can do it, because I'm not going to be able. I didn't think you could change someone's free will. I don't think you can change free will. That's why it's free will. I think that you can alter their energy a little bit. And I was looking when you said that, and I knew that a lot of people ask that question. But my answer to it is, do I find it unethical? I think maybe it's not as unethical as we think, because I don't think a lot of people have that much power. They haven't practiced their craft that much. But I know me, with just my energy, I'm not saying I can bring a loved one to me. I just know there are certain things I can do. Okay. But I think I would do more damage. I'm rambling around the question. I would say I would not recommend it.
I think probably the biggest thing is because if you're trying to control somebody's free will, right? I think you can do it, but I think it's will it last long term?
Right.
Okay, because you got to think about it. You're looking for love. Are you looking for love for
In all the
long
wrong
term or for the
places.
next? Yeah, that's all the wrong places.
said it.
That's right.
I love Garth.
Short term or long term. Most people are like, "Oh, I just want to find a boyfriend for the next 30 days." No, they're looking for somebody to be with, right?
Yeah, I mean, if you're to the point where you're trying to do a love spell, to me that would mean this is not just a one night stand or whatever. This is I want to be in a relationship for however long I can be.
So you gotta think about that. If you're trying to control somebody, which is what you're talking about, to do it in a long term situation, that would take a lot of energy, over years of energy, right?
And a
To be
lot of
able to
people
do
would
that.
think that they are there. They just think, watch TikTok video and I can do this. I know we always pick on TikTok, but or
Hey,
just
my TikToks are
read a
awesome.
book and I can take one class and now I could affect someone's free will. I don't believe you probably could, but most everybody, I don't believe that you could do that. And it's interesting. This is Judica. It's I never pronounce her name right. It's Isles from Weiser, and she has a lot of witchcraft or spell books out. If y'all want to know if somebody besides
She's got some
Scott
great
Cunningham,
books, yeah.
I think she has some of the best books, and you can buy them at SoulTopia. The little plug there, but of course, can you do spells if you're not a witch? I think you can. Okay, don't have to think you have to call yourself a witch, but one of the old Wiccan read is do what you will, but harm none. Okay, that's repeated everywhere, but it happens to be in Judica's book. So, no revenge. She doesn't believe in doing that. Getting back at people who harm you. She said there's no spells in this book, the big book of practical spells, everyday magic that work. She says there are no spells included in this book that intentionally set out to harm others. Now, you'd have to define harm, because everybody would define that differently.
Yeah.
Okay. There are no, and then it gets a slippery slope, because you can talk yourself into this really doesn't harm him. It's for or her.
It's
It's
their
for their
better
best
interest.
good, because of course they want me, right? And
'Cause I'm
so
hot.
there are
Yeah.
no revenge spells in the book either. No getting back at people who've hurt you spells. If you're looking for those spells, there are plenty of other places to find them. They are published in many books. Frankly, she says, save your money. With only a little magic under your belt, you'll fast find that knowledge within yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the harm thing is interesting, because if you're actually wanting to force, but coerce someone into a relationship that they don't at this moment want to be in, I mean, that to me that seems harmful. You would have to want them to be in it.
Yeah. So I the reason I think that I say I could kind of stumbled is because I just don't think most people really have the power to bring it about. But yeah, in general, that is ethically or morally, ethically, and even my ethical code, I say it's against it. Okay, mine personally.
So the better option, Roger, you were saying, is to not necessarily focus on bringing them to you, but to remove anything that might be between you. If it's an ex, if there's some sort of anger or anything like that. If it's a friend, maybe remove the idea of this is just a friendship or something, or any sort of boundary that there may be there, and open up the possibility. Is that kind of?
I think that's your best option. I mean, because once you've worked on yourself, the next step is being able to put yourself in the best situation to interact with that person. I mean, Michelle was telling you, when we met, if you think about it, it was obstacles, timing lined up and obstacles were removed. Would you say? Yeah, because she would have talked to me if her friends had still been there. So I paid that guy $10 to
Oh, you're
just for the
talking
drinks.
about that thing.
No, so she, obstacles are removed, and
Yeah, in a very physical sense.
yeah.
There.
So
but-
you get to, if you can remove those obstacles, then you can communicate and interact with people, and that's when you start building a strong base and foundation with somebody. Is just talking to people and getting to know them, versus just, oh my God, I love you.
So I think that maybe, and I'm not trying to make it all about self-care and self-love tonight, but I do think even including in that would be one of self-confidence. and the self-love, and feeling confident to put yourself out there and things like that, right? Okay, so and I was going to say about the parent-child relationship, the pink opal crystal, you guys, you can get a tumble, whatever. That is very good for relationships between family members to restore the broken bond, but especially between parents and their siblings, or you and your parents.
Yeah.
Okay. Just a little tip there.
Most
Right.
definitely. That's a
So,
good one.
okay. So the ones that we could do, the spells that we think are, and again, I have friends that do believe you can put other types of, spells, and they're friends of mine. I just don't necessarily line up with that. Okay. So walk us through maybe, did you have another example? Because I know you said Sabrina, didn't you do some research on some other shows that it went wrong? I was just curious about that.
Yeah, there's several. I mean, there's a couple of movies and things out there like that we're just, they try to do love spells or bring somebody back to them, and it just turns out wrong because they turn out to be, infatuated beyond infatuation, where they become stalkers, or they die, they come back to life, and they're still chasing them as a zombie, like Matt said.
All right.
There's
So we
things
already
like
covered
that. Yeah.
basically what. Okay.
Yeah, there's always that type of stuff. I mean, it's kind of like a TV movie theme, but you know what? Realistically, those things could definitely happen. And that's, you end up with a stalker chasing you down the street
Okay.
at 2 a.m.
All right. So if you wanted passion, what to restore passion in a relationship? You've got a decent relationship. You want to restore passion, or have more passion yourself. That would be sacral chakra stuff, right? So, how would you bring what would you suggest? Just we're not teaching everybody how to do all the steps to doing spells tonight, but that we don't have time. But what would
So you know what you
some
could
good
do?
things?
You could take a couple. Well, you could do a couple of different ways, but you could take either a couple of the figure candles, which we've talked about on SoulWhat before. You could do like 2 figure candles, or even just 2 candles representing the 2 people, right?
Right.
Set them about 18 inches apart. Maybe coat them with ylang ylang with some cinnamon would be a good choice. And then what you do is each day burn those candles a little bit, snuff them out, and then set that intention to those 2 people getting closer, but also moving those candles physically closer each day for 7 days until the 7th day they're touching, and then let those candles burn all the way through. Because you got 2 people that are identified, and this actually takes place over 7 days of moving their energy closer together and burning the passion together.
And using a candle would be really, really good because that's fire, and fire moves things very quickly. And we're talking about passion, and then cinnamon.
Cinnamon is always great for that.
And it's quick, right?
Quick
So
energy.
Again, quick
and you can
energy
use,
passion.
this is love and attraction oil here. There's love and attraction oils. There's ylang ylang. There's cinnamon oils. There's all types of essential oils that fall into that love.
And then
part.
just what you can take Roger's candle classes. You can go back and watch our Madame Hamida shows. She is great about talking, and her candle magic book too. But what about something? Okay, do you defer often to candles?
No, you could also do. So we also do like the salt baths, but bath salts. This is the love one, but you could take this one. It's already kind of preloaded, so don't throw these just in your bathtub. But you can actually enhance these with like the different herbs also, whether it's and crystals. Because if you're talking about passion love, would be maybe like rhodochrosites. What else could we put in there?
For passion?
Yeah,
I'd
for
use
passion.
carnelian.
Carnelians,
Be one
yeah,
of the first ones I'd
carnelians.
use.
So I would get like those cloth tea bags, grist like we do use for grist bags, those
bag.
cheesecloth. Anything that's a little bit thicker, but you can still put stuff in like the salts, the herbs like rose hips, hibiscus. You could do. I see you have charm bags crafting there, right?
So we have a book
yeah.
to Restore the Magical Art of Crafting Charm Bags: 100 Mystical Formulas for Sex, Love, Wealth, and Well-Being. Okay.
I'm gonna tell you the best way to use this bath though is get a big bathtub, and put it in. Both of you get it in the bathtub, though.
And I don't think we have this book that I just said.
Totally
by the way.
over her head.
Okay, yeah.
Totally
No,
overhead. She's not even
well,
responding.
just, okay. So we don't carry this book at the
No, we
store.
don't.
But we do.
Oh, look,
we
forward
do
by
make,
Devin Hunter.
Roger, no. We do make those, we do make for you or give you the items to really, and take Roger's class. We have little, you can cut little squares of fabric and put different herbs in. So you're basically making kind of a Gris Gris or Mojo or Charm bag, but you're making it yourself. So actually that's a spell right there. In my book it is. Anyway.
And the good thing of carrying those, because those are made to carry with you, is that you can hold it and, you're putting that energy with it and you're focusing on it and renewing that energy with it too. Doing what we talked about, doing the work with it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. What's next?
What else you got?
Okay, so, and sorry about that, you guys. We don't carry that book. I don't want to apologize for that. I do read every book that comes in the store. Let's just go back to that. And so if there's a book that I'm adamant, there's a reason we don't carry it. It's got to be a very, very strong reason. As I said before, we just don't carry it. And it's been maybe 2 or 3 just recently that they're just not in alignment with, and I don't think they'd be in alignment with anybody's that I know and hang out with ethically. Okay, just want to, when I got on to Roger, that's why. Sorry about that, y'all. So that's live podcast filming, right?
Okay,
Right.
what's next?
I can't. You need to go next right now.
So if you have passion, you could also.
So let's skip to. I think the most interesting thing besides making this class is could you even do like a kind of like a make me look like an enticing? If you were making it all about yourself and you said make me more enticing because there was an enticing book and there, would that cross y'all's moral? How do y'all feel about that? Would that cross the line for you morally, do you think? If you were trying to say make me more enticing so that a specific person will like.
So you're trying to draw somebody to you.
Yeah. And it's an enticement spell too. So
Actually,
different names for it.
Yeah, we do have candles back there for that too.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
how do you feel about
we
that?
have the come to me candles, basically.
yeah, how
They're
do you
red
feel about
candles. You know what? I guess it's all in how you set that up. Back to the people still can have free will with even that. If you think about it, you're drawing their energy to you. So if you're drawing their energy to you, it's not you're drawing some attention to you, really. Okay, you're wanting them to see you more and more, right?
I am getting on everybody's nerves tonight.
What are
I
you
just
doing?
wanted to. I am fidgety. When I over research, it's a problem for me. So next time I won't research at all. Plus, I have a lot of bracelets on. And the very first time I met Matt, and he
said,
produced a
"Stop wearing them."
podcast, he asked me not to wear my bracelets. And I have always remembered that, Matt. And I have them all.
She brings
on
it up
tonight,
every week, Matt.
And Matt is just
Recall if
staring at my bracelets.
Did I say
like,
none or just fewer? That may have been my language. I don't know that I would have said none.
I think
but
that was your downfall. Is you might have said all. And if you had said
And she added 2 more after you said that.
limited
Yeah.
to 1 because I have all these on tonight.
You've got about 30 on
Wonder
right now.
Woman, like yeah. You don't need like anything
What?
but these. These bracelets on my arms. It's
So
like a
let's
shield.
go back to you with your bracelets then. Are you
'Cause
wearing
Matt
those
was
for a particular
staring at
reason?
me.
Or what reason are we wearing 40 bracelets tonight?
Well, because I know what each one means, and I literally sat there and decided. I'm totally lying. I do know what each one means.
But why are you wearing it?
They make me feel good
Okay,
because it
there
is
you
a crystal grid on my arm. They're SoulTopia bracelets.
Good. Thank you for saying it.
And they each have different properties. Did I know when I selected these when I got here? No, but I do have on the Scott Cunningham also. But I have my grounding. I have my, no. I mean, I do know what they all mean. But did I pick each one out to mean something tonight. No, Matt.
I think
will
that I'm
next
used.
week.
I think that I'm used to by now. It's a nice.
It was that first episode. Matt's like, what the
I'm just.
Well,
but
what am I getting
tonight,
into?
I'm flipping through books. I'm hitting the microphone. I am. But I went back for some reason. The link to Matthew McConaughey's show. I watched it because I was like, oh, we did such a good job. I said like a million times, like I always do, and I kept bumping the mic because afterwards it was like, whose mic is that? That is horrible. It was mine, of course.
She's gonna get on to me, you know that,
A little
right?
spatial awareness.
And
is
at
all
one
I-
point I was like, oh, excuse me, I bumped the mic. I mean, it's like I'm just a total wreck.
That's fine. It's part of the charm of the show at this point.
So at this point, Matt is going to call it charm because he has given up on that. Is there maybe something else he can? Maybe we will work on the stuff because I worked on those before during law school and after. And then when I stopped being in court, so I mean, just they've
I don't think so.
all come back.
I don't think so.
Like,
You think so? Really?
all right, so
Here, I'll give everybody watching a free podcast tip for you right now, which is, it is okay to just be quiet sometimes if you're thinking. I don't mean this. I don't mean this by saying you talk too much. But what I'm saying is the reason why
She's
people.
she's obsessed on this now for the next month.
Yes, here's what I'm
I
trying
have
to
a spell for this one.
Here's what I'm trying to say. The reason why people say or why they use filler words is because they're trying to fill negative space in their sentence or whatever they're trying to say.
They're thinking
They
what's
wanna
being
keep-
said next and filling
right.
that
And it is
space.
okay to stop and think and pause for a second and then continue. Saying is not the worst thing in the world, but there are ways to combat that. And that is one of them, is by just slowing down and being okay with
It's pretty
thinking about what
irritating
you're
and with pauses that when you listen back are not as long as you think.
nowhere near as long as you think they are. They may feel like a month, but really it's a second, and most people don't even notice it.
It's the truth because I listen back and I'm like, there is no reason that you put an there. It is on my list after I turn in this next book to get lessons with Matt though because it drives me nuts. I'm sure it does y'all too. All right,
Next
so
week's show will be all about
Matt
how to
is
do your own
available for
podcast.
podcasts and he's
Yes.
available for personal coaching because I just added that to his availability. All
He's
right,
like, "Oh,
so
shit."
contact
We'll be doing a show
Matt.
about podcasting spells and if they
Yes.
work or not.
That's
Yeah, there
right.
you go. So, oh my God.
Here you go, Matt. I got the best ones though to put in your crystal grids for passion. I got male figure, female figures.
There you go.
could also do male, female.
There you go.
Check. They're all anatomically correct. Put them close.
They are. They fit
Together.
together.
Hold him up to the camera a little bit more.
Let me get closer to the camera, guys.
Not
There you go.
that.
Too close.
We're going to have to refilm this show, y'all. The wheels are off.
These are actually
The
amethyst.
podcast
We have them. We
show.
had them amethyst, obsidian, clear quartz. Clear quartz. I forget what else.
I'm so sorry. Okay.
Stand
so
up.
One more thing. I think we talked a lot about moral compass. We talked
Swallow.
plenty about love spells. I think that we need to revisit this show and do more. We did the self-love a little
Yeah.
bit, but I will say this. I think that Roger made a very good point at the very beginning. A lot of the books are filled with spells, and you might not have all the stuff. And I will say that one good thing Judica says in her book is she's like, okay, this looks like a really long spell. We're going to have to buy a lot of things. And she tells you, actually, you could just use, and like she says, hibiscus, she says you don't really have to go to like a tropical place to get these. It's available. It's essential oils. The herbs are available. So, but sometimes I don't like the books because, okay, now I got to go find all those ingredients. But that's why I just use my mind, and you like to use spell, like herbs and all that, right?
Yes.
So I think that, but I will tell you that there are plenty of people who do, their moral compass is, it's not the same as ours, isn't it? And that's okay.
Yes.
They will do those.
Because everybody has a little bit difference of how they do things. Because even when people start down the path of doing spell work, everybody has kind of that beginning of the path, but then there's little offshoots of their path where they pick up more knowledge or they figure something out that they can do a little bit different than what they were taught to do, and they change those types of things up.
Right, you tweak it.
And tweak it out to make it more personal to them instead of just, oh, I've got to, I cook at the house.
He's the best cook ever, besides my grandmother and my mother.
I've had people over years, can you give me your recipe? Not really, I can't. No, seriously, it's not that I don't want to give you the recipe. I just started cooking and throwing shit together.
Yeah.
I don't follow a recipe.
He's so good. And that's how he does this.
Yeah.
That's a sign of like an herb worker, and we can talk about the different types of witches on a different show, but I think we have before. But he's very much, it's not necessarily, he could be a kitchen witch, but he loves that putting things together, putting a recipe together, mixing what we call correspondences, which would be your color, the day, the time of day, what's the moon doing, the candles, fill in the blank. Those are correspondences. We spoke about that on our show with Devin Hunter. What's the name of his book? The Crystal Magic. Crystal Magic.
Crystal Magic.
For the Modern Witch.
For the Modern, yeah.
And he will be at Tide, you guys, speaking as a keynote speaker, and we talked a little bit about that with him.
Matt, if you're still watching, I always tell you she's got your books laying around. Not only does she have both copies, she's got 2 of both copies sitting over here tonight.
There's multiple ones sitting there right
she's
now.
got
Hold
them
those
all over
up.
the place. Look,
So we've got.
She's got.
I am a groupie.
She's got all. I'm not sure what she could find in one, couldn't find in the other, but she's got 2 of each copy over here. That's what she's got
usually I
tonight.
have a copy for the office, a copy at the house, and I usually can't find either one of them, so I get it from the warehouse or the store.
I guarantee you she's got a copy of each in the car right now.
And by the garage door going
Is that
into
one
the
still? And in the garage. Yes.
That is Psychic Witch, for those of you who don't have it, and
Mastering
Mastering Magic that just came out. And they are bestsellers, really, really. So we are upon the time where we actually should have already done our readings. Matt, can we do them, or should we really fast?
No, we can.
Do like a 1, 2, 3.
We can, and I just want to say, like, having listened to this and having listened to all this stuff for the past few years, I mean, the biggest thing to me is just understanding, and I'm sure folks listening might understand this already, but like spells are not a replacement for self-work, right? I mean, it may enhance it, but it's not going to. You can't just do a spell and then somebody's going to love you, or do a spell and suddenly all your problems are fixed, right?
That is correct.
Part of the ritual is going through that and doing these, looking in the mirror and saying, I am somebody who's worth being, who's can be loved and things like that. So it's not none of this stuff, do love spells work? That's not the question. It's just like, can they help you? Yeah, sure. But it's not, I don't know.
And let me add that in some cultures, it's very common for you to go to someone to do your spells for you. I will say that I would prefer that if you come into SoulTopia, we will not do them for you. We will say, this is what and Roger's great to talk to. You have this problem, this issue, you need a job. What should I use? And Roger can show you different things, and you can choose which ones you want. You don't have to use them all. And then he can show you how to do it. But if you put your own intention into doing it instead of having someone do it for you, and I'm not saying you can't have someone do it for you, we just don't do that here at SoulTopia. And so then that's another important thing, I think, to say, because there are definitely spellcasters, okay? And that's okay if you aren't paying $5,000 for someone to help you with that. That's okay if it's reasonable and all that, but we just don't do that at SoulTopia. We'll help teach you, and that's why we really encourage Roger's
Teach you and
classes.
give you the tools.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But also, you still have to write your resume and go on interviews
exactly.
and get that, you know, if that job is your intention or whatever it is, you still have to do the legwork to make it happen.
Absolutely. That's the action and the law of attraction. So that if you don't put the action in to whatever we're talking about, then it's whatever area, then it's, in my opinion, Matt, that's a brilliant statement, because if you leave that out, you're just, I also think you're starting to not live life if you're just thinking every time you do something, there's a spell for that, there's a spell for that, there's a crystal for that, there's a crystal for that, that's all I have to do. So I personally would never want to promote that, so thank you, that's a very good point. Yeah. Okay, so let's do our readings.
Do 1, 2, 3s.
Can you explain them, please?
Okay,
That's
guys.
a little dry.
So this is super complicated. We're going to each do a
We
reading.
need to research this for like
Okay.
3 weeks and have all these books on the table so that, yeah.
So we're each going to do a reading. So all you have to do is pick 1, 2, or 3. Okay? And we're going to do a reading for you. And this reading will be for you for the remaining of the week. Okay? So to start out this week, Matt, do you mind starting us off?
Sure. Yeah, I can. For the number ones this week, it's actually, these have been surprisingly appropriate the last few times I've done them. Maybe not surprisingly, because we are putting the intention behind it, but so I'm using the oblique strategies, which is just a series of prompts, and this one says, simply a matter of work. So whatever it is that you are thinking about this week, you got to put some action behind it, right? It's simply doing it. Whether it is trying to get into that relationship, if you're thinking about family members or mending family ties, if you had a bad Thanksgiving or whatever it was and you're looking at the holidays coming up, or if it's a job or whatever it is, even just simple things around the house. I have a faucet that I have to fix tomorrow. I can't just sit there and hope that it gets better. It is simply a matter of work. So whatever it is, put it into action this week. This is the week to do it.
Isn't that synchronicity, though, that is exactly what you were just talking about, and that's what comes up, and it's very...
Yeah, and I don't know if folks, I mean, I haven't really explained this all that much, but it's an app, but it contains all the cards that are in the deck, and you just swipe and you get a random one comes up. So that's all I do is I just open it up and I swipe whatever the first one is. That is essentially a draw, and that was what came up.
Pretty cool.
Yeah,
isn't
sounds
it?
pretty good.
Who's number 2?
You're number 2.
Okay, and I've
Because I know
already
you
drawn.
like number 2s.
Okay, so for all the number 2s for the week, here's my reading for you. I got the Page of Cups. The page is, in the most traditional decks, the youngest member, or if you don't want to go by age, the beginning member of the court. And the page in my book is the messenger, the one who kind of runs around and takes errands to people. And so I think that, and cups are about relationships. So here's my reading for the 2s for the week. I feel that we need to this week, and I say we because I'm 2. We need to watch our emotions. This is empathy came up to me. I will say my book, The Magic of Connection, because it seems to me this is going to be a tough week for us to watch our empathy. And what I mean by that is mind our own energy, because somebody may say something and we may jump off immediately and think that what do you mean by that? What do you, and take it the wrong way. We're very sensitive. And so we're very, very much up in our sensitivities and not realizing that, we're not the center of the universe, but it might be about something going on with the other person. Okay.
Very cool, very cool. All right, so I'll do the number 3s, and I'm using my Mystic Martian Oracle cards. And the one I got here, guys, if you can see that card, what's kind of cool about this card, this is Argathon's Manifesting Multidimensional Perception Attunements. What really jumps out, though, there's a pterodactyl in the top, but the 2 people look very almost Atlantean feel. There's like dinosaurs here. There's crystals coming out of the ground, and they have gold jewelry. But you know what? As kind of like utilitarian that this could be, completion of people, they're setting back to back. So what I get is maybe not always set back to back with people, but kind of turn every now and then with the people around you and actually communicate. Kind of like we're talking about tonight's show is actually your communication with other people, your interactions, is take advantage of actually maybe speaking to somebody this week that you normally wouldn't stop and talk to. So you never know what you might learn or who you might meet. Just out of the blue, talk to somebody that you wouldn't normally talk to. How about that?
That's great.
Yeah.
So Roger's going to close the show, but I'm going to tell you who our guest is next week. It's the 13th next week, right?
Sounds good. Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Let me double
Yeah, I
check
think
that
it is.
date.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
our guest, we have
Yep.
a guest, I believe. We do. And she will be in studio. So she'll be here with us unless something changes with her schedule. And I'm really happy to have a good friend of mine on, and her name's Tony Munoz Hunt. And so she will be here next week. And she has a very interesting and broad, diverse bio, and you will learn about her next week. So you're going to want to be sure to tune in.
Be really cool.
And she's a very smart woman. So be sure to
She's a lot of fun.
Tune in for next week, and also sign up for Roger's spell class. Are you going to go over these things?
Sure.
What
What do we have on this week? It's actually my spell class is next weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend. We will be making a Yule log. I was asked today, so we're cooking a Yule log, and I thought about that. No, we're not cooking a Yule log. We're making a Yule log that you can either A, take home and burn in your fireplace, or B,
Smells good.
take home and set in your house and make it look really pretty
And
and burn some
smells good.
candles on it. One of the two. Okay, you can do either or. But
And where did they sign up?
if you're not on Facebook, you can go to our website, Facebook, simpletix.com/SoulTopia. Okay, if you could do simpletix.com/SoulTopia, that'll take you to our tickets page. And you'll see like all of our tickets for like our class. You'll see it for like Michelle's.
Book club this Sunday?
Yeah, but you'll see the tickets aren't on there for that. But tickets
I'm
for
just
your
totally wrong
end of
with
the
that.
month
Yeah.
or end of the year, first of the year readings.
Yes.
Okay.
Forecast.
Forecast readings. But Michelle does have on Sunday nights, guys, at 7:30. This is totally free. Is a Zoom link for Spirits Unveiled, and it's a book club. They're going through chapter by chapter and discussing. Even if you've missed the first couple of chapters, not a big deal. You can jump in and still join into the fun and listen to some really great information and depth of the book.
And SoulTopia Sensation?
SoulTopia Sensation will be on the 18th of December, and that will also be SoulTopia's Christmas celebration, I should say. We'll have a lot of specials. We're going to have contests. You know, we used to do dress up for different sensations. This time we're going to do Christmas festive. Please, somebody show up dressed like a reindeer or Santa Claus, snowman.
Get
I'll take you there. We're
prizes
going to
all
have
through
prizes all
stores.
through the day.
And
Stuff.
every hour on the hour, we're going to have raffles.
Yep.
You have to be at your whatever location they're drawing to win. All three locations.
All three
And
locations
all
have
day
great
long,
stuff.
Every hour.
And we'll have some
on the
special
hour,
deals
from
for the
1 until
day,
5.
plus readers doing readings.
Yeah.
Someday we're gonna make Matt come up and do readings, and y'all come get readings with Matt.
We'll see.
Why don't you do that?
I've already
Matt.
talked to him about that. We'll talk about that
We'll
later.
Come on, Matt.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Come on,
Let me know if you're interested.
We'll
Yeah.
keep calling
You
him out
guys-
on it.
you
So
guys- You've already
you
met.
guys harass Matt a little bit about
Yeah.
telling
I
him
know
you
that
want to
Matt's
see
the
more of it.
sanest one in the room. That has been established. I would be number
That's not
3.
saying much.
Well, yeah, you're probably right. All right.
But guys, remember to follow us, give us a like, share this video out. We appreciate it, and and anything else from you?
No.
All right, good. All right. All right, guys. Well, y'all have a great night, and we'll talk to you next week.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for listening to SoulWhat, a SoulTopia production. If you're intrigued, searching, or looking to schedule a reading of your very own, visit us in sunny Dallas, Texas, or visit us online at facebook.com/SoulTopia Holistic Boutique. And if you like what you heard, subscribe, rate, and review on your favorite podcasting platform to be the first to hear new episodes every Tuesday at 7:30 Central.